As I walked up the path to my front door, the darkness seemed to wrap around me like a shroud. It had been a long day at work, and all I wanted to do was kick off my shoes and collapse onto the couch. But as I reached the top step, I noticed something odd. A small, unmarked package sat on the welcome mat, its brown cardboard a stark contrast to the warm glow of the porch light. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I picked up the package, wondering who could have left it there. It wasn't heavy, but it felt substantial, like it contained something important. I turned it over in my hands, searching for any clues, but there were no labels, no notes, no indication of who might have sent it or what it might contain. As I stood there, the package cradled in my arms, I felt a growing sense of unease. Who could have left this mysterious package on my doorstep? And what did they want from me? I decided to take a closer look around the porch and yard to see if I could find any clues or signs of who might have left the package. I walked around the house, peering into the shadows, but everything seemed quiet and still. The street was empty, and the only sound was the distant hum of a car driving by. Feeling a bit more at ease, I headed inside, deciding to deal with the package later. I locked the door behind me and leaned against it, letting out a deep breath. I was tired and hungry, and the mystery of the package could wait. I dropped my purse and keys on the counter and headed to the kitchen to make some dinner. As I cooked, my mind wandered back to the package, but I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the familiar rhythms of cooking and eating. As I sat down to eat, I noticed the package sitting on the counter, its presence still unsettling. But I was determined to ignore it for now, to enjoy my meal and the quiet of the evening. As I took a bite of my food, I heard a faint creaking sound coming from outside. It was soft at first, but then it grew louder, sounding like someone was walking around the house. I immediately stopped eating and got up to investigate the noise. My heart was racing as I walked to the window and peeked outside. The creaking sound seemed to be coming from the side of the house, near the bushes. I carefully made my way to the front door, my senses on high alert. As I reached the door, the creaking stopped. The sudden silence was eerie, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I slowly turned the handle and opened the door, peering outside into the darkness. The porch light cast an eerie glow on the empty yard. I took a deep breath and stepped outside, my eyes scanning the yard for any signs of movement. As I walked to the side of the house, I noticed that the bushes were slightly disturbed, as if someone had recently walked through them. I felt a surge of adrenaline, and my mind started racing with possibilities. Suddenly, I heard a faint rustling sound coming from behind the bushes. It was soft at first, but then it grew louder, sounding like someone was trying to get my attention. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should investigate further or go back inside. But my curiosity got the better of me, and I cautiously made my way behind the bushes. As I parted the branches, I saw a figure huddled on the ground. It was a woman, dressed in a long coat and hat, and she looked like she had been sitting there for a while. At first, she didn't seem to notice me, but as I approached, she slowly looked up. Our eyes met, and I felt a jolt of recognition. There was something familiar about her, but I couldn't quite place it. The woman slowly stood up, brushing off her coat. She was taller than I expected, and her eyes seemed to bore into mine. "Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The woman smiled, and her eyes seemed to gleam in the dark. "I'm someone who's been waiting for you," she said, her voice low and mysterious. "I am first wife of your husband." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "What are you talking about?" I demanded, trying to process what she was saying. The woman smiled again, and this time there was a hint of malice in her eyes. "I am the first wife of your husband," she repeated, her voice dripping with venom. I shook my head, feeling like I was in a nightmare. "That's not possible," I said, trying to laugh it off. "I'm the only wife of my husband." The woman chuckled, a cold, mirthless sound. "Oh dear, you really don't know, do you?" she said, her eyes glinting with amusement. "Let me tell you a little secret. Your husband and I were married before he met you. and we're still married. I felt like my world was crashing down around me. I didn't know what to say or do. All I could do was stand there, frozen in shock, as this woman dropped a bombshell that threatened to destroy my entire life. I looked at the woman warily, trying to decide if I should trust her. "I don't believe you," I said, trying to sound calm. "You're going to have to do better than just making claims. I want proof." The woman smiled, seeming to expect my skepticism. "Proof," she repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Very well. Let me ask you something. Did you receive a mysterious package on your doorstep tonight?" I hesitated, unsure of how she knew about the package. "How did you know that?" I demanded. The woman just smiled again. "Let's just say I have my ways. Now I ask you again, did you receive a package tonight?" I nodded, feeling a sense of unease. "Yes, I did. But what does that have to do with anything?" The woman's smile grew wider. But that's the thing. The package is connected to everything. And if you open it, you'll see exactly what I mean." I decided to ask her more questions, trying to get to the bottom of what was going on. "What's in the package?" I demanded. "And what does it have to do with my husband?" The woman leaned in close, her eyes glinting with amusement. But that would be telling," she said, her voice low and mysterious. "Let's just say that the package contains something that will make you question everything you thought you knew about your husband and your marriage." I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that this woman was hinting at something big. "What do you mean?" I pressed, trying to get her to spill more information. The woman just smiled again. "All I can say is that your husband has been keeping secrets from you, and the package is just the beginning." I decided to open the package and face whatever was inside. The woman's words had left me with more questions than answers, and I was determined to get to the truth. I walked back into my house, the package clutched in my hand. I felt a sense of trepidation as I approached the kitchen counter, but I steeled myself and began to unwrap the package. As I pulled off the brown paper, I revealed a small unmarked box. I lifted the lid, and a faint scent of perfume wafted out. Inside the box, I found a small leather-bound book. I opened it, and my heart skipped a beat as I saw that it was filled with handwritten notes. The notes were addressed to me, but they were written in a code that I couldn't decipher. I felt a surge of frustration and confusion. Suddenly, I heard a noise behind me. I turned to see the woman standing in my kitchen doorway, a sly smile spreading across her face. As I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the code, I started to feel a strange sensation wash over me. The room began to spin, and I felt my head getting heavier and heavier. I tried to shake off the feeling, but it only seemed to get worse. The code in front of me began to blur, and I felt myself falling forward. The next thing I knew, I was waking up on the kitchen floor, my head throbbing with pain. I struggled to sit up, looking around the room in confusion. It was then that I realized the woman was gone, and so were my jewelry and money. I stumbled to my feet, feeling a wave of panic wash over me. I rushed to the phone and called the police, reporting the theft and the strange encounter with the woman. As I waited for the police to arrive, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been played. The code, the perfume, it had all been a ruse to distract me while she stole from me. I felt a wave of anger and embarrassment wash over me. How could I have been so naive? As I sat in my living room, waiting for the police to arrive, I couldn't help but think about my husband. I realized that he was my rock, my partner, and my best friend. If I lost him, I would be lost too. All the material things that the woman had stolen from me, the jewelry, the money, they were nothing compared to the love and support that my husband gave me. I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me, and I knew that I had to make things right with my husband. I had to tell him about the woman and the theft, and I had to reassure him that he was the most important thing in my life. Just then, I heard the door open, and my husband walked in. He looked concerned and worried, and I knew that he had been searching for me. "Honey, what's wrong?" he asked, rushing over to me. I took a deep breath and told him everything about the woman, the theft, and how I had realized that he was my true worth. My husband listened attentively, his expression growing more and more concerned. When I finished, he pulled me into a tight hug. "I'm so sorry that this happened to you," he said, "but I'm glad that you're safe. And I'm glad that you realize how much you mean to me."